Yo, what's up, everyone? It's that time of the year again. Doubles Premier League just been posted for week one. The draft was just took place yesterday. We have all the teams and lineups just went out this morning. So here we have, all the matchups for this weekend. I just thought I'd do a brief prediction overview here, and then maybe do like brief overview of each team. And yeah, okay. So the first matchup we have here in SVDOU, Libero, one of my friends from US West, versus Zern on the Spindas. Um, This is an interesting matchup. I think these two played in OSCT, where Zern won. Zern, I think, is probably favored here, uh, just by virtue of probably being like maybe the best player in the pool at the moment, especially with strong support from Lunar, who is manager of the Spindas. Uh, yeah, I think Zern will probably take this one. It could be close. Lamero's a good player, and I think he'll be pretty motivated right now. So I hope this is a good one to watch. Okay, Uichi versus Sergio Lozan. This is an interesting one. Yuichi, and not really typically known for playing current gen DOU, but very competent player. I think here I'm going to go with Jello because he's pretty hot at the moment. Just won the kickoff tour, has a good handle on the metagame. Uh, yeah, I think this one is. I would favor Jello here, but this is another good one to watch. All these SV matchups here are pretty good. Okay, the third DOU slot, JRL versus Zeal. I think here it's probably JRL because JRL obviously is like um, pretty high level player. Zeal is quite solid too. Beat me in DPL last year, but I think JRL is. I think JRL is going to take this one. Could be close though. Okay, do you His versus Haori? Um, Honestly, don't know a whole lot about do you at the moment. Uh, his has put up some pretty solid results. Won a DOU seasonal last year. I think I'm gonna go with him here. Uh, yeah, SDOU. Two non-DOU players here, Lax versus Star. It's pretty hard for this one. Um, I think Star played this last year, so I'm gonna give the advantage to Star because I haven't seen Lax play this. Uh, who knows? He might be the goat. I could just be ignorant. SM, two managers self bot here. I think I've heard that Umbri is really good in this slot, so I'm just gonna go with that. Um, XY. I think here it's probably Memoric. Memoric put up like 7-0 last year, playing like various tiers. I think mostly XY. I'm not sure, but regardless, Dvorak was like the most expensive player in the draft. I think he'll take this one. Uh, BW Checkmater versus Dadwin. Haven't really seen Checkmater play mostly before my time, but Dadwin's the goat, so Dadwin's gonna win this one. Trust. Okay, Thieves versus Hydreigons. First slot, Exotic 64 versus Smartformati. It's another one where I have one name that I'm familiar with and one name that I'm not. So I am going to go with the one that I am familiar with. Invites player as well. I think Farfamani probably wins this. We'll have to see. Exotic 64. Let me see if they've played in anything. Messing up the search. Okay. Okay. I do not see anything DOU related here. Regardless, could be an interesting game. I just really don't know. Okay. Now is probably one of the highlight matchups of the week. Bagel versus Paraplegic. Paraplegic, one of the best Team Tour players last year, versus Bagel, the Invites champion, just like a couple weeks ago. Bagel has probably played the format more at the moment. Uh, However, I'm pretty hesitant to count Paraplegic out here, uh, simply because he was like 7-2 in DPL last year after like also not really playing the metagame before the tournament. Um, I think the safe pick is probably Bagel, but I'm going to go out on a limb here, and I'm going to say that Paraplegic pulls up with some crack and he just wins. Yeah, this is going to be close. Bagel is very good, and most people would probably pick him here. But just based on team tour records last year, I'm going to go with Paraplegic. Okay, Shima versus Yo Buddy. Um, I think also two good players. I think Shima probably takes this just based on placing highly in ladder tour, and generally, I think has played SV more recently. Okay, DUU. Big Pichu versus Keanu grinding arc. There's going to be some US West bias here. I think I'm going to go with Keanu. I think he's probably pretty motivated for this tournament. He's been talking about DPL for like a year, so um, I'm guessing he's probably going to put in a lot of effort into prep here. Or maybe he won't. I don't know. I could be wrong, but I think Keanu might take this just based on having seen him play more recently than Big Pichu. Although Big Pichu has probably played DUU more recently, but I'm going out on a limb here. I'm saying Keanu, partially because I'm biased. You never know. Okay, SS. Luisan versus Meminger. I think um, I think I would go Meminger here. Uh, he played really well in SS last year versus Luisan, who I don't really have too much knowledge of him playing SS recently. He might have. I just don't know. I don't know every tournament. Um, yeah, I think Meminger probably takes this just by virtue of playing this tier more. I think. Yeah. Okay. SM. Charlotte versus Zoe. This is another name who I know people hold in high regard that I just don't really have too much knowledge of. Versus Zoe, who played pretty well SM last year. Let me check. I can pull up the sheet somewhere. DPL. I just need to find the spreadsheet. Okay. Yeah, 5-2. Yeah, I think I'll go with Zoe here, just because I think she has a pretty good knowledge of this tier. Um, yeah. Okay. XY. Talking Tree versus Yellow Paint. Talking Tree did very well last year, and XY when he came in to play, I was on his team. I'm gonna go with him here. Yellow Paint. I assume he plays XY pretty well. He probably played that last year. Um, let's see. Yeah, I'm gonna go with Tree here. I think this is two very established players. This is another all gens match to pay attention to. Uh, yeah. Okay. BW. We have two people who have no familiarity with playing the tier at all. Uh, hmm. I'm gonna go out on a limb here. I'm just gonna say Fran because Fran has played DOU, I think, a lot more than Yuki has. Could be definitely wrong here, but Fran has won circuit a few years back. Probably has played BW more. I really don't know. BW is kind of like I have no idea what I'm doing predicting this format, so don't quote me on that one. Okay. Okay, Cold Crew versus Crater Makers. Oh yeah, should do one each matchup. So I think this one I predicted Zern, Jello, JRL, Is, Star, um, Umbri, Memo, and Dad one. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, I think Spindles are going to win this one 5-3. Um, that's my prediction. Okay, Thieves versus Side Dragons. I said Arfromani, Paraplegic, Shima, Keanu, Eminger, Zoe, Tree, and Fran. So I think this is another 5-3 if I counted right. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah. I think Hydreigens are going to win this one 5-3. Again, this one has a lot of variance because I think there's some very close matchups here that I could definitely be throwing on. Okay, now to this one.
This is, I think, maybe one of the premier SV matchups this week. Rob Jr. versus ESM. These are two people who don't really main the tier, but have put up like extremely solid numbers, both of them, uh, in like team tours. I think I'm going to go ESM because he's played a lot of VGC lately. I think that translates a lot more to DOU than singles does. Um, so yeah, okay. XQ versus Shade Kirby 321. Okay, so we have another VGC player here versus XQ, second in OSGT. I'm going to predict XQ just based on um, has been playing really, really well in DOU lately. One of the tournaments I'm playing in, he's like 5-1 or something. Uh, so yeah, I think XQ probably takes this. Although I have heard very good things about Shade Kirby 321, so we'll have to see how he does. Uh, yeah,
Okay, Raph versus Tenzai. SCL players here. This is another pretty good matchup. Um, I think I'll go Raph. Uh, I've seen him play in the format a little bit more recently, but Tenzai also another SCL caliber player, so he could very easily take this one. But I think Raph might be more familiar with the current metagame. Um, yeah. Okay, DUU Rat Packer versus Robbie 35646. Another VGCer. I'm going to go with the player who plays DOU. Uh, especially since it's DUU. I think this is like less translatable from VGC. Although DUU historically is kind of like a tier where like you just throw someone with good fundamentals in there and then they do well. But given its first week, and I think Rat Packer is a pretty tough matchup to pull as your first DPL game, I'm going to go with Rat Packer just based on I've seen him play DUU pretty effectively in the past. Uh, okay, SS Loudwinner versus Mishimoto. Uh, Loudwinner has put up like very good results in SG. I've never seen him play SS. I think he was around during that time, but not concurrently with what I was playing. And then Mishimoto, I played him in SS in one tournament. Um, yeah, that's all I know because I was around for like 2 months. But um, I think Loudwinner, I'll take here. Everyone's saying Mishimoto's a DPP player. Maybe they're right. Maybe they're wrong. But regardless, I'm going to take Loudwinner because I don't know. I don't know how much Mishimoto has played SS recently, to be honest. Yeah. Okay. SM. Yoda versus Ann. It's another good matchup. I think honestly this series is like really solid all around. I think I will lean Ann here because they played SM last year in DPL versus Yoda sat out. I haven't really seen Yoda play SM ever. Obviously, a very competent player, had like the most circuit points last year. Um, but just based on like who I know to have played the tier like recently, I'm gonna go with Ann. Also, I think Ann is like just one of the best players right now, so that too. XY Single Thunder versus Z. This is a good matchup because there's two players who both like main the tier. Like I can very confidently say that this is like one of these two players both like really like this tier. I think I will lean Z, uh, just because Splendid SCL I think has had like more difficult competition, maybe a slightly higher level. Although Single Thunder has put up good records. Let's check here. Yeah, this is pretty solid. Playing a tier that's like very stacked, but uh, I think I will go Z here. And then Wob versus T-Man. Wobblefett is the BW goat. You do not predict against the Wobblefett and BW, so yeah, that's my prediction. Okay, I said ESM, XQ, RAF, Rat Packer, Loud Winner. Yeah, okay, this is another 5-3. I guess I predicted 5-3 every time. These teams are pretty even. It usually is like this for TPL. But yeah, I predicted Cold Crew, Thieves, and Spindas. Or no, I predicted Hydreigon's. Spindas, Hydreigon's, and Cold Crew to win this week. And then I will not do my own because I am biased, even more so than I obviously am for like basically every single time someone from US West shows up. So yeah, that's that. Um, Okay, now I will just do just brief overview of every team. Okay, so Cold Crew with their drafts, they self-bought Yoda as one of the managers, and then they went, they spent a lot of money on DeWab. Although this is like not that expensive for DeWab because he could easily be like 26 or 27K for just because he's the best player in BW and everyone knows it. Uh, and they also spent 13K on Rat Packer. This is kind of like a good builder for SV. And then XQ, someone else to play SV. The Rat Packer is DUUing, so I don't know how much he'll be prepping SV. But regardless, should be able to help out with XQ and RAF, who are also two SCL caliber players who are playing SV. So this is pretty solid. This is like not that expensive for that quality of player. Loudwinner has played pretty well recently. Played well in the World Cup, doubles World Cup. Uh, Rob Jr., another good SV player, doesn't make the tier like I said, but has played like really well in the team tours that I've seen him play in. Single Thunder, solid XY player. Uh, Entro and RL on the subs. It's kind of funny because Entro qualified for invites. But yeah, I think this team is pretty solid. Uh, I think it leans a little bit more into current gen, to be honest, except for the wall. But like this core of Rat Packer, XQ, Raph, Rob Jr. I think that's really good for like DUU and DOU for SV. I think that's this team's strength. Okay, Critter Makers. This team is like the VGC team, which you can kind of predict based on the managers. So yeah, Selfbot Z. Interesting that this was like the most expensive player they got, but I think that's pretty good because you got a lot of value here. I mean, you got Ann, ESM, another player who's been playing very solid. T-Man, there's your BW slot. Every team's got to have that. Mishimoto, another good player, been around a long time. Just not sure like how into SV he is at the moment. Yeah, and then a couple VGC players here. Tenzai, Blind Beagle, VGC draft player. Let's go. And then someone I do not know at all. Someone said they were VGC, so I'm assuming that's accurate. I don't know. But yeah, I think this team has pretty good old gens, to be honest, between Z, and T-Man, and Mishimoto as well. So this is a very solid team. I think the strength is definitely in old gens here, but in current gen, it really just depends on how well like the VGC players pick up DU, which typically ends up working out. So uh, this team could definitely. This is probably like the team that might have like first on the my power rankings. I think this team could do very very well. Yeah. Okay, droughts. Spent very big on Memoric um, and JRL as well. Uh, Grandma's Cooking, that was a self buy, 13K, pretty cheap to be honest. Yeah, then Checkmater and BW, Libero for SB, uh, DU, SS, and then Shuritu, another good player.
I think Chiritu and Mizugimi are subbing right now. Um, yeah, I think this is a solid team. I think they're like middle of the pack probably. He spent very big on JRL and Memorik, but those are two players obviously who like are some of the best. I mean, this is like good old gens and then good SV and then pretty solid everywhere else. So yeah, I think this is a solid team. I don't think I would. I don't think they quite have the upside of the Crater Makers, to be honest, but I could be wrong. I just think Crater Makers is like they got a lot of like pretty cheap PTC players that could very easily like put up high quality seasons. Whereas this is like more established UU players as well as Lax. It was just a good Pokemon player in general, so we'll probably be able to pick up the tier pretty well. We'll have to see. Okay, Ducks spent very big on Act. Um, Obviously, a very good player could play pretty much any tier. SMB was a self buy, pretty cheap to be honest. Ladera, pretty good SV slash SS player. I think he's playing SS at the moment. Poppy Loco, same build as Madara. Could play either tier. Uh, Waffle did well in World Cup. Uh, and Zonana, very solid player all around. Can play pretty much any tier. Yeah, very flexible player. Voltix, another good player. I don't know how much experience he has with XY, to be honest, um, which I think is what he's playing at the moment. Yeah, and then you have Relicanth, DUU player uh, on the council, pretty good at DUU. Should be able to put up decent numbers there. Vrixel and Shister, pretty solid support. Um, I think this team has definitely struggled from like spending very, very big on like the first three players of the draft. That was my observation during the draft. Uh, they have very good players to support it, but I think it's a very top-heavy team that could run into issues, especially like when you play teams that have like different strengths than your own. Um, so yeah, this team could do well, but I think it definitely struggles from being a little bit top-heavy. However, the managers are very high quality, so yeah. High Dragons spent the most amount of their money on paraplegic, uh, Meminger, and Far From Money. This is a solid top three. Um, this is interesting because they didn't really spend as much on like individual players as other teams, but they got a lot of players here, a lot of very solid players. Uh, I think this team does kind of all right at everything. I don't think there's like a particular like area where they're like going to excel in. Uh, I do think they got Keanu for like quite cheap, to be honest. Keanu is a player that could very easily put up pretty high level numbers. Did well, very well in World Cup. So yeah, I think this team got like this is just like an army basically. Um, it could do very well, but it could also like if we don't get like the rhythm going, it could be kind of rough. You're kind of like relying on your top three to perform because this is like what you spent a lot of your money on. But you didn't like go quite as far in doing that. So it just really depends on like how well these top three do, and then how much value you get from like everyone else. Because obviously you can only start five other people each week, so you have to as long like if this team figures it out, like who's like playing well at the moment, could do well. But I think the issue is like finding the right roster because these are like all players who like kind of compete with each other for like a roster spot. So it's like how do you decide who starts and who benches? Uh, yeah, okay. Spindas without the eye. We don't talk about that. Spent a lot on Zern. This is like honestly like pretty reasonable price for someone who's probably like the best SV player at the moment. Um, Especially when accompanied with like strong support as well. And then Umbry was a self buy, playing SM at the moment. I think played that tier when it was current gen more. I'm not sure. But regardless, very competent player. Amaranth, Dad one. This is your XY and VW. Quite solid. Uh, and then Jello, another very good SV player. So like these first five are like honestly like really good. Uh, I would expect all of these players to do like decently well. Uh, yeah, I think this is a pretty solid roster. This is another one I'd have pretty high uh, up there with Crater Makers. And then from there, Dar, Kaori, Zeal, Jonas, Lissa. These are all solid players. Uh, I'm guessing Jonas and Lissa are probably benching at the moment. I think 8.5 for Star is kind of a lot. I think they were 3K last year. Let's see. 3K, yeah. Oh, okay. They did really well. I didn't know they did this well. Yeah, I think this is a solid team. Uh, yeah, I think this is a team I anticipate to make playoffs. From there, playoffs it's kind of just like whatever whoever's hot at the moment. But yeah, this is a team I would very much think would make playoffs. That and Crater Makers I think are the two teams that stick out to me like that. Um, yeah, Thieves. They took the Bagel route, spent a large amount of money on Bagel. Uh, Someone who is very well known for putting out an insane amount of teams. I think this is yeah leans very heavily into SV as a result of that decision. Uh, and then from there, it's like they have Tree, they have Fran, and then yeah. So the old gens I think is not quite as strong as like having Bagel to support all your SV slots. This team could definitely put up good numbers. But again, it's another team that it's like very strong in one area and less so like overall. So yeah, I think I think this is another probably middle of the pack team. I mean, these two managers won last year, so I mean, I trust what they're doing. Uh, but could run into issues from the old gens, especially
If like these two, who are like probably your two best old gens players, besides Fran, who's manager, and I can't really evaluate his skill at BW. So, but these two, you spent a lot of money on them. Very good players, obviously, but they haven't really played as much recently. I don't believe, not DOU at least. Um, so it really kind of comes down to these two slots, in my opinion. If these two go positive, then your team's looking very nice because I expect Bagel will go positive, and I expect like just SV in general will do well. But yeah, I think it really just comes down to these two slots. Uh, as for overall ranking, I'm not sure if I really can do that. I think again, all these teams are like really close.